I am live. What's up, YouTube fam? It's Dark Angel's Journey, and I am Shakira. All right, let's see. What are we doing today? We're going to review the trades that we took. I'll give you a brief overview of where we are, and then we'll nip over to the Thinkorswim on demand for some real time or near real time backslash forward testing. I still haven't decided how I'm supposed to say that because it's still like, back testing, but with the live data moving, which is beautiful. All right. So let's nip over to Trading View first. And before that, let's get tiny. Yeah, I get tiny. All right, so this is October, and as we can see, I took two trades on the 3rd for 395, one trade on the 8th, two trades on the 9th, losers, and one trade this Friday. So far, not a ton of trades, but not a lot of winning trades either, so that part kind of sucks, but it is what it is, right? It's down here. Okay, so just watching this rate here and seeing when it switches back. I really just don't understand how it looks after I've like made adjustments and things. Because I feel like I've just done that already and it's still not quite there. So things that I'm looking for as always, obviously, this current bitrate business is lower than the recommended bitrate. I don't really know how to fix that, if I'm being honest with you. I don't. So let me see here if there is some setting that I need to change on OBS. And I do this so infrequently that it does get me at times. Okay, so we're here. All right, so I took a loss on Friday trying to go long in the morning, I believe. Let me check my journal because can't live without journaling. Other things that are kind of annoying is the fact that, I'm trying to trade a very specific, very, 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 very specific type of setup, and it can be a little hard to get that setup. But I've been watching these vids, man, and they've been helping me a ton on my, that's what I'm looking for, on my psychology and things, so that part's nice, that's for sure. So the AM long, and I'll just copy this image and plop it over here so you can see it. So the long that I took, right, the copying, I need to actually take another screenshot of it. Weird that it requires that. Let me turn my heater off a little bit. Whew, it's getting real toasty. Getting real toasty. All right, so I took this trade on Friday. So we'll just go over the one trade I took on Friday. And I had others at 10:45. So let's snip over. Okay, so here we are. So about 10:45-ish. I had multiple trades that I could have taken, actually, and that's the part that's kind of annoying. Basically, what happened is I was waiting in the AM for a sweep of liquidity. They still bullish. They swept the liquidity here, and then they gave me a shift here, and I was hoping for a pullback down for a secondary shift. Did not get that. So they kept running, and if I'm being, oh, it's 30 seconds. Let's go to the 1 minute. They kept going because I gotta be realistic in my mind, right? Like on TradingView, I can potentially look at the 30 seconds, the 15 seconds, and stuff like that. But on Thinkorswim, I can only look at the 1 minute. That's the lowest time frame that I can use. So I need to work within that time frame, right? So in the morning, I was looking for this sweep, preferably this equal lows here to be swept. They didn't want to do that though. So they came through and swept all of this, and then they ran up and actually gave me the shift here. Because if, from my perspective, unless there's like three candles, what up, Bob? How's it going, man? Yeah, give me some love on a Sunday morning, looking at the charts. Anyway, how was your Sunday? You got your coffee? You feeling nice and coffeeed up? I was gonna say lubed up, but that seemed a little bit wrong for a Sunday morning. I wish I had some coffee. All I got is some water with some electrolytes in here. Anyway, so I was just talking about my loss on Friday, since this is going through my weekly wins and losses, and then testing my ICT strategies. That's what I thought. I know you're all here watching me with your coffee, chilling like a villain or Bob Dylan. Anyway, so I noticed something very, very interesting. And I think part of the reason why I took the loss is because, when you're waiting for something and you don't get what you looking for, but then you have a thought around what entry to take, right? But it doesn't quite meet your criteria, so you don't take it, right? Got you on the big screen and typing. Oh, that's so cool. I'm on the big screen with Bobby. That's what's up. I sometimes think like on days when I'm not working and I can just watch like traders like Maya and stuff, I would just put them on the big screen and just be on my phone in the chat. But I'm too lazy, so I just have to sit on my laptop, if I'm being honest with you. I'm too lazy, so I gotta be on my laptop so I can watch and chat at the same time. But anyway, so this is what I was thinking on Friday, right? So I was thinking about the sweep of liquidity. Like I said, I preferred if they'd taken out these equal lows on the left here, but they didn't. They did take out all the lows here, which is fine. And then they went ahead and shifted right up here. Now, a lot of folks would say, like, wouldn't this be the shift or something like that? Not for me, because you know, I need it to be like a clear space. Like, for example, this right here could potentially have been a decent shift. Why? Because we had a lower candle and a lower candle. This one's above. That's a shift in structure from my perspective, right? But this wouldn't have worked for me. Why? Because we haven't taken any liquidity that I was looking for. They made some liquidity here at 9:30, ran up a little bit, took some of this, and then dropped. Swept that liquidity right down here. Again, I still would have preferred this, but they didn't want to give it to us. That's fine. So then now the only other area of interest for a sweep in liquidity is up here, right? So then they ran up here, swept this, and then there's plenty more up here they could run into on the upside. Let me, oops. Oh, before I forget, and then I can delete this. Like this is what my calendar of trades looks like for October. I had one decent day, and I've taken two, three, six trades for the month of October so far. One set of winners and the rest are losers. And, if I'm being honest with you, that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that because this is a marathon, not a sprint, and I just need to work through my own issues. I was watching this video this morning, and Bob, I posted it in the resources section of the Discord of our little private one, and it's just talking about the different stages that traders go through, and I think I'm at that like enlightenment space where I understand that I need to be more disciplined and more specific around my setups and then just take that consistently. But I'm at that point where I don't trust it, right? And that's why I'm not as consistent as I should be, right? So whenever I see what I want to see, I don't actually take it. And then I watch it go and play out the way I expected it to play out. And then I feel that level of like FOMO, which is I think what is partially what happened to me on Friday on some of these trades. But anyway, we can get rid of this now, so it's not in the way. But anyway, so once once I saw the shift here, I had this stray thought, and sometimes I feel like there's too much noise, right? I had this stray thought that, this wouldn't be a bad entry, right? Like right here. But I always get so nervous whenever they don't tap into the fair value gaps below, right? After the shift. But then they've also kind of created an order block here. And for the ICT folks, it's called a mitigation block, right? Like, so you've you so this is supposed to be used as like a bearish, order block to continue in the opposite direction this way, right? So the reason why we're calling it mitigation is for all the folks that took their entries here thinking price is going to roll back here, you can now use it in the opposite direction. So when it comes back down to it, somewhere inside of it, take your entry and then, in the opposite direction like so, right? But I don't really use as much of that. I don't use it as often, so I actually didn't really notice it. So this would have given me a secondary set of confirmations that we weren't going to run further down here. Um, so we had a mitigation block, we had an order block here, and then they tapped this and ran up. Now, what I've started to notice is like whenever I feel like there's an entry that I'm not super comfortable with, there might be a secondary potential for an entry from that area. So we see how we tapped into this space right here, and then we ran up with a fair value gap. We haven't taken the high out yet. Great. So when they come back down to the order block or the fair value gap, right? Someplace in here, you can take it at the top of the order block, right? That like that, and then just aim for the top, and that's a pretty nice return. Like that's 69 points, which is like a 1 to 7 for the way my stop loss is set up, which is pretty sweet. So I saw both of these scenarios and didn't take either. This one because I haven't spent enough time backtesting it, and we're going to do that today in Thinkorswim's On Demand. And then, look at that. Look at the reaction. It just blew past it and ran off. Like, beautiful. But I, of course, got, a little bit of FOMO, I guess. And it wasn't fully a plus setup. So I ended up taking something around here and getting stopped out. Part of the reasoning for that trade, though, is I thought they had a little bit more room to push up. And I was looking at this fair value gap right here. So it's not a bad setup. It just wasn't perfect because my entry area I was expecting I was expecting this green candle to close above. And so I set my entry here. And as it was closing, I should have waited, is what I should have done. I should have waited for the candle to close, and I was a little preemptive. So that's caught me at least twice this month, where I was preemptive with the entry, and then, I got tagged in and tagged out pretty much immediately. You know what I'm saying? Like pretty much immediately. So that was kind of not perfect. I didn't mind it too much because they came and swept some liquidity here. Right, yeah, that was a decent little setup too, Bob. That was in the PM. That was in the PM. So this was close to three. Um, I mean, if I'm being honest with you, Bob, like I would have normally closed my chart out at this point. I wouldn't even be looking for nothing here, right? For that setup. But it did show itself as a potential setup for me. And it would have netted me about 800 if I had clicked the button. So it's okay. It's not that bad. So as Bob mentioned in the chat, like, so in the PM now, we'd been running up. I was thinking maybe they might want to run down. So two things in this scenario and let me just highlight the space. So two things in this entry area that that I was looking at for a potential entry. One was this bearish fair value gap right here, something that I should have marked out on my charts, and I didn't because I had a higher time frame fair value gap marked out. But I was talking to Bob about this. I was like, "Oh, this looks, they're staying inside of this volume imbalance right here, just wicking inside of it." So I was literally thinking to myself, like, maybe I should have done this, right? But I didn't have this fair value gap here marked out, so I could see that they were literally hanging out on the midpoint of it. What up, life? Thanks. I am excited for my study session. I am absolutely so I would have gotten my 10 point my 210 here if I had taken this one in this run right here. I would have gotten the full pull. But I didn't notice it. And that's sometimes I shoot myself in the foot when I'm like sometimes looking at higher time frame fair value gaps. I have them specked out further up here. And I didn't look at it. Plus I was second guessing myself a ton because it's like right before 3 o'clock. I hate taking trades. I think before like the top of the hour or the half an hour, those tend to kind of like slap me in the face some days, right? But this is a good example of where I should have taken the trade from the entry because we did sweep down. We generated liquidity here, swept it, generated more liquidity here, swept it, and then made equal lows right here, swept that. The only issue for me for taking this is that there was no shift in structure. That occurred later, which is why the secondary setup was what I was looking for. So then I wouldn't have quite made it to my my setup here. What would have happened though, because I would, once I let it roll back down here, if I'd gotten into that trade, is once this low was set up, I would have set my TP, my stop loss here. And then as it started moving up, I probably would have started like locking in a little bit more, and I probably would have gotten stopped out here. Mainly because like this candle, like I would want this one to be like a green candle. Like I need it to be green to continue up so I can keep locking it up. So at that point, I would have gotten like my base hit. It's about half of what I was looking for, which is fine. Green is green. If it's $2, green is green. Okay. So, everybody who's salty that they didn't make like $1,000 or 2,000 or whatever, man, table that bullshit. Green is green. Trading is one of those things where you can go as far as you want to go with it, but you have to realize that it's a business. We out here trying to make some money. Okay. And if we're going to make that money, we got to like take a big, 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 big step back and realize that taking 50 million trades isn't going to get you where you need to go. And being more strategic with your setups will get you there, but it's going to get you there at the speed of this. Gonna go like that. Then we're gonna do a little bit of that, and then a little bit of that. You might have a little bit of dip, and then a little bit of more, and then another little dip, and then eventually you'll start to pop off like that. But I mean, getting to profitability and that ability to literally, what's that phrase? Something about tickets. Can't remember the name, like buy your own ticket, make your own ticket, whatever. Can't, my brain does not work well with things, okay? You'll be fine. Anyway, the point is that if you take trading from a long-term perspective, right? Like, yeah, you're gonna spend a lot of time losing at the beginning, and that is okay. That's okay. Because everybody, any trader out here that is profitable and consistent and they've been making money for a long time, they will tell you that they lost a shit ton of the fucking day. So, keeping all of that in mind, I am not trying to like rush anything. I was like super excited that I was like back in the green for the third time this year. And as of Friday, I'm back in the red. I'm down $130 for the year. But you know what's amazing about that is the fact that this time last year I was down 4K. Okay? 4K last year. I ended the year down 6K of my own personal money, not no prop firm money, nothing, no, my own hard earned. I went to my job, I earned that money, and then I gave it to the market as tuition last year. Am I mad about that? No. It's just, that's just the game. Am I going to just stop and not keep going? Hell no. Every video I post now has that 3 feet from gold image on the right of it. That's to remind me that I am 3 feet from gold. So no joke, the fact that I'm only down $130 at this point this year, which is essentially me sitting at that break even space. I'm at the cusp of profitability. Once I can like work through my consistency, this is badass. This is huge. I know people are thinking, oh, but you're not making any real money. But I'm not losing either. Isn't that amazing? I lose it, I make it. I lose it, I make it. I lose it, I make it. Eventually it's gonna be a make it, I make it, I make it, I make it. And then lose a little and make some more. But that's why I keep doing this stuff every weekend. Okay, I didn't do it last weekend. I was out doing some stuff, and then yesterday I went to like this home home mm, like a home event where they had like tons of vendors selling stuff, people who do roofing, siding, blah blah blah, all that other stuff. Anyway, and then they had awesome jewelry and food. Bob, you would have liked this. They had a ton of like brown liquors. Okay, they had a whiskey. They had multiple vendors with some high quality whiskey. You would have loved that. That little tasty, and see which one you want to take home with you for that every once in a while sippy sippy. You would have liked that. Yes, exactly. Patience and consistency is key. So no, and Bob, just so you know, you didn't lose me diddly squat. Like if I wanted, if I did hesitate because, like I said, I had my doubts about this setup because of the time of day. That's something that I need to work through. So I did not lose anything by not taking that trade. So don't even worry about that. All right. Monday's another day. Tuesday's another day. And there's, guess what? It's always another Monday and another Tuesday and another Friday and another week. You see me? So plenty of opportunity for me to get back into my setups and keep going. Anyways, but this wasn't a bad setup. Like this, I was looking over here. And this was juicy too. Like they use this propulsion block. So like when ICT, just as a quick like note about some of these ICT nomenclatures or words that he uses, right? So here we have an order block, these two candles, right? We have an order block, price ran off, And then this little guy, ICT calls it a propulsion block. Why? Because price literally ran away from it, like in spurts right afterwards. So, um, taking an entry at a propulsion block for a continuation up, not a bad idea. You know, the if you have the capital to, I don't know, make your stop be something like this. You know what I'm saying? And then you're looking for like 1 to 2 or something after that. Let me see. Yeah, like that. Would have paid out, you know. If I could trade micros, I'd do that, you know, or at least 75% of this guy, maybe even that. But that would have paid nicely. Part of the reason why I mentioned the propulsion block is like if we're going to remain bullish, they'll come to the propulsion block, use it as like its order block to move on into the next direction, which is why I was considering the long from here, but I did not take that. So Bob, no, this was secondary entry because I got the actual shift I wanted, and that's my comfort setup right there. Like I've got confirmation that we're going to continue going higher, and that's why I wanted to take it here. But it's late in the day. The probability of them wanting to go much more than this is not as big, right? And it's part of the reason I wasn't like super pressed to take a second trade on Friday. Anyway, what what I want to do is I want to spend some time working through my A plus setup and different entry models is what I want to do. And I'm wondering if using Thinkorswim is going to be the best way to do that. But let's switch over to it and let's see if we can't do something with it. All right. And if there's a particular day that you guys want to back test, let me know and we will nip over to that day. All right. So let's nip over into the Thinkorswim. So for now, I'm on October 1st. That's a Wednesday. So let's do September 29th and start with a Monday. I don't usually trade on Mondays. I haven't found a lot of awesome consistency with Monday trading, but let's see. Let's go to 9:35 on the Monday and on September 29th and see what we're working with here. I think it might behoove me at some point to do this. So we've been pushing up a ton. Things I like to do prior to anything else on the charts, like roll into the 15-minute, figure out where the liquidity is hanging out, where the buy side's hanging out, and then, you know, aim for those things. So from here, we've got some obvious buy side right here, and we have some obvious sell side down here. So let me just sort that out. Some buy side liquidity there. Set that. Now I usually grab at least 2 to 3 of these because some sell side liquidity. Okay. Because they might take that area and then run away from it. So let's nip this guy in. So that's pretty close. So a nice potential for them to run too. Some nice equal highs up here. So I'm gonna duplicate this and plop this up here as like the main place they want to run to. And then for closer potential liquidity that they could run, we got this low and this low. I prefer this one. So let's see. Oops, I don't know what that means. Let's duplicate that. And this is the boring part, right? The boring part of trading is prepping your space, thinking about your setups, and waiting for them to roll through. So my general desire for every trading day is the same every time. It's I'm waiting for liquidity to be taken. So this is a 50-minute low. They did take that liquidity out, no problem. I'm waiting for liquidity to be taken, and then I'm waiting for a shift in structure. So we talked just a smidgy about that, but every time you come in here, you're gonna hear me say the same things over and over and over again. Now, last week was kind of a bummer for me because I was like super busy, and there are areas where I might have wanted to take trades, but you know, you just got to do what you got to do. All right, so what do we have here? It is 9:37. With the government shutdown, I don't think there's a ton of news that's gonna like really do anything. And something I'm gonna try is like I'm gonna use fair value gaps that have been recently being created, unless it's like a higher time frame one that they've used for support to like either keep price going up or keep price going in the opposite direction. Other than that, I don't wanna, I'm trying not to clutter my screen too much. All right. So they've technically taken some liquidity here. There's still a little bit more down here for some equal lows. I would love that. They've made equal lows. That's some of my favorite things and places to aim for. You know what fascinates me is that everybody has these strategies that they follow. They're so amazing. You guys are so incredible with how you choose and well not choose with how you see the market. Bob has his levels which are like liquid gold. Beautiful. Wolfie has his model with the 1 hour candles. There's the orb, there's ICT, there's all these things. There's so many opportunities for folks to find the thing that works for them and then you know capitalize on that and make it into their A plus setups. I generally hope that a lot of times folks will realize that trading like is not a get rich quick scheme. It's not. It's a job like any other, but with the expectations for that job like twisted in the opposite direction. Like when you work a 9 to 5, you're expected to be engaged in some activity throughout that day. You're like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm building that, I'm writing this, I'm doing this email, and da da da. Like that's a regular 9 to 5 job. But for trading, our job is to be patient, diligent, and wait. When I said diligent, I meant to say disciplined and wait. Wait for that edge that you have in the market. Wait for that setup that you've seen at least a 70%, shoot, even 60% win rate with, because nothing's 100%. Just wait. That's our job. And it's hard because the way we are taught to work is to constantly be in some sort of action. Gotta do, move, touch, do that, do this, do that. But trading is the opposite of that. And adjusting that mindset to realize that you just need to be patient and wait for what you're looking for is, I think, one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with. I mean, even when I was, more unprofitable last year, I only kind of went into FOMO. What was it like at the beginning of 2024, January, February, March? And then I've been journaling since then. And the one thing I know is like, if I continue to do that, I wouldn't have any capital left to continue trading. So my first hurdle was managing myself to not take too many trades. I think if I look at my journal, like the day I took the most trades was probably, let's see, let's check. Let's check. Like 2024 had the most insane amounts of trades, and they were early in the year for me. Yeah, let's look at the journal here real quick. Look at this. February 6, 2024 took a grand total of 10 plus trades. I need to start meditating. The trade setup I normally look for would have worked just fine. But no, I shot myself in the foot, you know? That was crazy. That was crazy. 10 on January 25th, I took a grand total of 5 trades, I was down what was that? 519. I actually made 519 that day, taking all those trades. Ridiculous. The 10 plus day, I was down 400. That means I won some, I lost some, I won some, I lost some. I mean, oh my God, I think my worst day, look at this, 23 trades. Wow, I was down. Oh my God, I shot myself foot so hard. Minus $1,473.10 that day. That was it, February 22nd, 2024. 23 trades? Insane. Insane. Ridiculous. The next day I had to put more money in my account to be able to trade the NASDAQ, you know? And I started to realize like, I can't keep doing that. So, after that, I made a rule like I need to only take a few trades a day, and eventually it dropped down to two trades a day, max, win or lose. And usually if I win, I'll take the one trade and go home, close out. All right. So, yeah, Bob, on that day, I didn't even realize it was so bad. I knew it was bad, but that was the literal worst day of my life. 23 trades. I lost 1,400 plus dollars that day. 1,400. Can you believe it? Oh my God. Yes, we all had moments of FOMO insanity, acting stupid, extra, extra stupid. Well, guess what? We recover and we move on. That's all we can do. We recover and we move on. All right, what are we doing here? So, we just had a bit of a shift here. And what is it, 927? We took the buy side that we marked out. Yeah, we all have that. Look, I think maybe if I'd started with prop firms last year, it probably would have been worse because we probably would have treated it like, paper trading and just gone ham. So all of that was like big lessons to me. And I like learned it really quickly. Because I mean, if I'd been continuing to do that foolishness, man, I would have lost way more money last year than just 6K. You know what I'm saying? So all of that to say is like I'm being mad transparent, y'all. Ain't nobody trying to act like we some badass that never had no problems. We all out here fighting our own urges. And the only person that we need to fight is ourselves, you know? And it's kind of hard for me because I'm a very like controlled, person when it comes to money. Like I invest, I save, I do what I'm supposed to do, but it's hard sometimes. Like it's hard with trading because I'm like, oh, but it's my money. But I'm like, I have to keep reminding myself, like, I set aside this cash to do this thing. And I should not be afraid of losing said cash because this is what I set it up for. Okay, so I think for what I'm doing, this is not going to work. I don't know. What do you think? Maybe I should just use TradingView, because I'm looking for scenarios where I see my setup, and I think Monday didn't really have a ton for me. But we did have this guy up here. So what time is it? It's 9:45 on Monday, September 29th that we're testing out here. We've taken the internal buy side that I was noting. So there's external all the way up here. So still pretty pretty bullish, I think, but no pullbacks. Is that what happened on Monday? Because I didn't trade it. I only traded Friday of this week, so but yeah, no, I ain't trying to hide nothing. I'm over here just trying to do the best that I can do to get to where I want to be. And if I'm being honest, that means putting the time and effort into it. Also giving myself breaks too, and giving myself the grace to realize that I'm not perfect, you know? I'm not perfect and I'm never going to be. And I'm gonna lose and I'm gonna win. And the only thing that I'm not gonna lie though, I do wish for that one day where you have like that nice winning streak, like a week where you just it was nice and green. A red here, but it was green, you know, that'd be nice. We all do that, but everyone keeps reminding me like, Shakira, you're at that cusp, man. You're at that point where you're gonna get there. It's just gonna take its time, you know? So, okay, so this is a day that I wouldn't have gotten any kind of trades because we just kind of ran away, looks like, which is very, very annoying. Let's nip forward about let's fast forward a little bit just so we can get this moved along because I do wanna get into testing out my setups. Now, I'm wondering what would be a good continuation setup for this, right? Like we've taken some internal liquidity here and we've got fair value gap. Um, I guess in my mind, maybe a pullback to the high they just ran through and then a run back up would be nice. I have a hard time with those, with like just picking taking a trade here because yeah, it might work out in my favor, but there's no real structure. At this point, it almost feels like you're running, chasing price, and I don't like that. I don't like that idea. So what do we have? It's 950. So we've sped up the candle creation by 3 to see if we can get something. It'd be nice if we could potentially utilize this. And this is not my A plus setup. My A plus setup requires a sweep of liquidity, but we've already had that. What we haven't had is any kind of pullback, and I think I need to adjust my mindset around that. Right? We've had the shift in structure. We didn't get it here until they decided to could just run away. Right? So what I want to see is which one of these. Let's duplicate that. I want to see which one of these they want to respect for a continuation up. It could also be because I haven't had that second stage shift in structure either. Hello, hello. How are you? Good morning. All right. So I'm trying to realize that even though I have my A plus set up, it doesn't have to show up in the way that I think it's going to show up, right? Because in this scenario, we've swept liquidity here. I was looking for a shift in structure above here. We did not get that until it ran away. Now I'm looking for a second stage shift, which might be forming here. So I'm trying to get my mind right in terms of my A plus setup does not have to be like this perfect. Yeah, yeah, I'm Jamaican. Are you from the islands too? Yeah, man, straight up yardie, you never know. Yeah. So I'm trying to get my mind sorted out around the fact that my A plus setup does not have to be shift, sweep in liquidity, shift in structure, you know, come back down, shift, and then, secondary entry opportunity like in this space. Like I need to also account for the times when they're wanting to run and not give me like that perfect setup because I gotta trade what price gives me, not what I want it to give me, right? So, oh yeah, yeah, I did too. Welcome, man. Welcome, welcome. Which part? I'm from Waterford. Born and bred until we moved to the States for college. So welcome, Yadi. Welcome, welcome. All right, so we are at 9:59. So always wait for the hour to hit to come back. Let's see what 10 o'clock gives us in this really, really not my favorite style of A plus setup. Clarendon? Nice, nice. I don't think I've ever actually hung out in Clarendon. My mother was from like St. Thomas. So That was like my main, between Waterford and Red Hills and spots like that is where uh Crossroads and stuff like that is where I would hang out. So here's another thought, right? Like we've run up this way and higher time frame reviews is like super important, y'all. Super important. Because where are we? We're in some chop right here. And, whenever we hit these areas, they do tend to like to chop around inside of it as well. So I want to see if we're going to give me something to shift downward potentially. But I'm bullish because hold on, before I zoom in here, this whole thing, whoops, let me get that sorted out. If we zoom out a little bit, so we've been like pushing up. So this is where I think they want to go. But my question is basically, I've had one sweep of liquidity, big shift up, and what do I use as an entry for a continuation back up here? So I'm thinking maybe we get like another little, we've generated a low here. We sweep below it. Let's say we're wicking this. We wick this. That might be a potential continuation. But I'm trying to test out a couple of other entry models, one of which is not showing up in this scenario. Same A plus setup, but different potential entry model that might help me not necessarily miss all of what I'm looking for. Okay, so look at that. So this is a situation that really irritates me because sometimes we did take that. All right, so let's see. Because I kind of like that. And I might be okay, good. And I like that because my tiny little stop will take care of anything down here. And this is my 210 lookup. I like that they were wicking here. I like it. It's a nice area. They did it twice. I would have hoped for maybe a little more time spent in here like we had on last Friday, but it's a nice signature. And we did sweep this, but look, I missed it. Damn it. uh, so in this scenario, I highly doubt they're going to come back down to this area. I mean, they might just to be douchey about it, but I highly doubt it. My general idea would be to take it up to this high. Ah, come on. You see the signature though, right? Like I was like, which one of these fair value gaps are they going to use for that entry model? Because we do have, this is like a continuation model, technically. We've had a shift. We've got a fair value gap that they wanted to play inside of. So I personally can't bring myself to move my entry from here to go, you know, to somewhere up here because now it feels like I'm chasing price. What up, abundance? Yeah, how you doing? Having a good day? Having a good day? All right, so now we have technically for my setup, we have another little shift. We have a secondary shift in structure. Hmm, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm still gonna wait. If they come down to this, because we have this whole line of order blocks right here. Like I'm not chasing this. I need to feel, I should have felt more comfortable potentially once they wicked this, because I've seen this a bunch of times. Once they wicked in here, I should have been comfortable waiting to see if they wanted to tap into it again. But let's see if we get like that drop back down. Maybe I get run through. I don't know. Me? So I've been live trading since January 2024. I've been learning since 2022. Started out looking at crypto. Okay, hold on. So this is that secondary entry model thing that I was thinking about, right? So they came down into an area of interest. They've left all of this entire block, which is like a big order block We've got a fair value gap that stops in here. I would have preferred, well, I have a preference that they would come back down into here. I would prefer that because we have shifted. We're still bullish. I just don't want to run after it. And this is how I think when, when I'm trading on a regular basis. Tracing price has never helped me, not once in my trading career. And just to be clear, this is like my journal, right? This is me taking the time out to focus on where I want to be, review my trades for the week, see what I could have done better, and focus through it because every loss to me is a learning opportunity. And I think for every trader out here, see, this is why you don't chase price. You see what it's doing? Don't chase price. That's my that's my advice. Don't chase it because it will come back and find you. Look at that nice little break. It will come back and get you. And if it doesn't, that's okay. You got a whole other day, a whole other session, a whole other week where you can get into other trades. So don't stress. Don't run after anything. Don't run after anything. So my secondary entry model after this shift up here would technically tell me I need to set my order here at this lower order block. But because they've been hanging out in this fair value gap, I'd want something a little bit lower so I could get below this space. So let's see if that's a better type of entry or if they, oh, it actually let me like get in here. Or should I have waited for the other entry? Part of the reason why I wanted to make sure I was below this low, because they already took this low. Oh yeah, okay, I'm wrong. I'm My original entry was better and I shouldn't have messed with it. My original entry was better because it looks like they wanted to sweep it one more time and then run. So so you saw me make like that decision to move it up here because I was thinking about something else, but I wanted to see if they wanted to run through. And I was more comfortable with my stop being below here. And that was the entry that would work. Look at that. Beautiful. But I moved it at the last second. I was just coming down. I was like, "Ooh, what if they just stop in here and not come back and tap this?" But technically, with that move, my stop should have been again still below here. That's why I like this entry for my little tiny stop. But hey, we can see it kind of working its way through. Not bad. Yeah, not bad at all. So one of the things I really like, so that's a nice scenario. And in this case, I probably I should keep it there. So in future, whenever they're like tapping into the space, we'll assume they'll tap it again. As long as the stop is below the fair value gap, you should be good to go as we saw here. And I did not trade on Monday, so I wouldn't have known. So I'm working through my own process. What y'all think about that entry though? Like that was sniper though. That was sniper. That was cool. I shouldn't have moved it, but that was a nice that was a nice looking setup. So now here's what I'm thinking. Like this P&L for the day, open profits like at 790, 755. I am not insane enough to be like, yeah, I'm just gonna. Actually, we've if you're up this much, man, don't be taking no losses just to be funny. Man, like lock in. Lock a little bit in. Technically, you want to move your stop after it's taken. Like like pick a rule, right? Do you want to move your stop? I can't trade prop firms. It's a work thing. But if I'm up 655 or whatever, I'm locking in at least my fees, and then I want to see if we're rolling up. No, I can't trade platforms. The company I work for has certain restrictions and independence requirements, so I trade my live money. So I trade on this platform is Thinkorswim, and it's all my cash. So they have this lovely feature called okay, so we're gonna set this up as though we got the entry where we wanted it, which is at the top of this thing. So we're gonna set our stop right above it, right there. Because now, nice big push up. Oof. What time is it? 10:30. Okay, 10:30s is fine. We want to see if this order block and these fair value gaps will be good. I sometimes wonder if I should like lock in my base hit regardless. In this scenario, I want them to push up. Retracement is normal. I want them to make a swing low, and then once they push past this space, then I'll move my stop to the swing low and lock that in. Until then, from this situation here, I would set my stop to just above my entry because we moved a ton. I'm not giving that back up. But now I'm just gonna hope that they're gonna give us the structure that we need to keep it moving in this direction. And I'm looking for a couple of trades a week, 1, 2, 3 trades a week at most. So I'm reaching for the moon if I can, because I'm not taking that many trades. So if I if I'm base hit looking for 210 ticks, right? Then once we get past like say 900, I will lock in half of that. Win or lose, just lock in half of that. So this 15-minute is not looking juicy. As long as my stop is below that break, that volume imbalance they have here though, I think is great. I don't like this doji that they've created here, but we just gonna walk with it. Remember, we're sitting in a space that has a lot of like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's got a lot of chop to the left. So I'm hoping they'll want to run up. But nothing hurts my heart more than like giving back funds. But I'm trying to remind myself that the setup is more important than the um than the P&L. Because if you follow your model, the profit will come. So don't worry about what's in there. So if I get stopped off at 35 bucks in this scenario because I didn't want to run any higher, that's fine. That's just the way it has to be, which is what it's looking like. Because I gotta trade the A plus setup. I can't trade the profit because if I trade the profit, then that's when I start to that's when I really start to lose because you need to focus in on your A plus setup because if you're following that and that's your edge, you're taking it consistently, the money will come. Focusing on the money doesn't get you anywhere. Never gets you anywhere. All right, so let's see if we can get a push up. It's so the macros will start running about 10:50. Price always likes to move about 10:45-ish. And there should be like a 10 or 15-minute macro between 10:50 to 11:10. So I'm hoping that we get like the additional push up from there. Part of the issue with a scenario like this, though, since they've taken some internal liquidity here, is the fact that they might want to run back down and take some more liquidity because they did it here, which is great for me. So technically what we've gotten is my A plus setup, but just not in the way I'm used to dealing with it. It's so crazy. Just not in the way I'm used to dealing with it. I'm used to seeing it, sweep the liquidity, a shift, and then a secondary shift, and they're all down here before we take the liquidity up top. This is a different scenario. So I don't know if this is going to end up being a good setup for me, but it is the one that I am trying to work through and get comfortable with because I think that's what's going to get me to my profitability and consistency. So I need to start being able to recognize the secondary opportunities and utilize these fair value gaps for what what they should be used for. Okay, we got what, a minute left on this 15-minute candle of grossness. All right, so in my mind, they've made this low right here. So I'm moving my stop right here, and now I'm expecting them for a continuation up. If I get stopped out here, that's fine. I'm still in the green. I can move on to another trade if I want to for the day. But the one thing I'm not going to do is take a loss after we've got these nice, juicy, healthy candles, but we have one, two, three fair value gaps that they ran into that they created on that move up. So I usually expect that they want to at least wick into the last one before they run upward. So if they choose to come back down, then my whole trade idea is dead and gone. And I can, be okay with the fact that, I didn't lose money on the trade, but I didn't make as much as I wanted to. And that's okay. So my expectation now that they've come down, they've made their little swing low, is that we'll start moving up. So I'm gonna not be greedy. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna move, given that they're wicking through here, I'm gonna move my TP to this high right here and see if we can't get that. Because it's 1048 and we might move it even higher. We might move it even higher. And that's okay. But right now, I'm in a decent place. I should get a good like 55 points, 60 points on this. And that's enough. You don't need the whole move. You just need a decent chunk of the move. And then you just need to be consistent with that decent chunk of the move. And that's all. Because I have this whole high here. That doesn't mean they're gonna want to come to that today. It doesn't. It doesn't mean that they're gonna take it today. So I'm waiting on this macro to, give us a push up to take this high out. And once it pushes up, this is about halfway to my TP now, right? So I'm gonna move my stop to halfway. If they stop me out, it's a win is a win is a win is a win. Green is green. $100 versus $1,000 in the grand scheme of things, it won't matter as much. So in my mind, they've made this low. If they want to continue back up, they probably won't take it again. We get past this high. Ooh, I see. So they're like hanging about in this little volume imbalance right here. So I want them to get past this little area here and do it with some gumption. You know what I'm saying? With some alacrity, with some speed. Look at they're wicking it. Wick it, wick it, wick it, wick it, wick it. If they don't get through this, oh, I don't like that at all. That is an ugly looking candle. So we probably coming back down. Probably gonna come back down. We need to push through. If we don't push through, I get stopped up for less, but that's okay. A win is a win is a win is a win. And then we'll move on to another day, to the Tuesday, and we'll trade that. But yeah, this looks like they're gonna come back down. In this scenario, I'm not moving my stop. I'm going to either get stopped out, and then I will come back either in the lower the PM session or the next day or the next day after that and the next day after that. And that's fine. Problem with this setup was all of these, okay, and then there you go. Ended up with 290 on the day, and that's it. That's okay. You just gotta learn to read the markets. All right, moving on. Let's take a look at the PM for the 29th. So let's move to 3:45. Let's push time forward to 3:45. 1:45. What am I talking about? 1:45 on the Monday. Oh, look at that. All right. So 1:45, they've come down, they've knocked out a bunch of the liquidity that I was expecting to see, for shorts. They've knocked it all down. All right. All right. So what do we have? This might be a better scenario for me. So what do we have? We have let's delete this one. They took this out. We had a shift in structure here. And now I'm waiting for a decent shift from here. For what do we do? Ah, we have lovely equal highs up here. So let's see if we get. So another thing I have a problem with is being like spontaneous. Like let's say I've come back from lunch and I'm seeing my setup forming. I have a hard time just jumping into it like right there and then, you know? So I want to see what's above me. Ooh, we got a nice juicy fair value gap above me. So the question becomes, in this price action here, we're marking time, right? We've swept liquidity. We didn't shift it. This is the next area for a shift in structure for me. They didn't shift it here. They barely touched it there, and then they shifted here. I don't trust that. We could be moving back down. We could be continuing down further. So do I have this fast forward still? Okay. So now I'm waiting for a secondary shift. And then that will give me the impetus to take the long from here. Also trying to realize that it doesn't have to be pretty. It does not have to be pretty for me to take the setup. All right, so now it looks like we're getting that secondary shift right here. So I'm going to set my entry right here. Now, the problem with this is they could just run away, right? So my TP requires that we take this out and they dig into about the midpoint of this fair value gap. So let's see if we get that. So we had one shift, it wasn't the best. Now we have a secondary shift and an order block. So I'm gonna just wait. And then I'm just trying to do this over and over and over and over and over again. So it's just like muscle memory. Now, the only time that I'm gonna like remove this entry is if they've taken the equal highs already. Until they do that and they're retracing, then the potential for the long is still very, very, very much there. So I'm just gonna keep on trucking. Keep on trucking. And I am not going to move it this time. We're gonna leave it where it needs to be. You know, maybe we'll get maybe we'll get what we're looking for. Maybe we won't. That's just the nature of trading. So I'm gonna do that. Sometimes I like to see where on the fib I might do well. I won't lie to you though, like I literally as I came in on this PM session and we ran up this way, we had this fair value gap with this little guy right here. I was somewhat tempted to take it here. It's one of my favorite little setups, especially after like we've shown some shifting, but it's not. Oh, you know what I missed on that scenario there? The fact that they took this out, but then they swept everybody next to it. And then once they sweep everybody next to it, you can look for a potential setup. Oh, Maddie has arrived. Hello, little girl. What you doing? You're gonna choke yourself. Come in. Okay. The Maddie, oh, you guys haven't seen her. She got her first grooming last Wednesday, so she is sans her coat. Sans her coat. The kitty has arrived. I'm surprised it took her so long to get down here. Or up here, I should say. Anyway, so now she's gonna make biscuits and be generally adorable. All right, so we're just waiting. It's 2 o'clock. I'm wondering. So sometimes I like overthink things, but I'm just gonna keep it this simple. I'm just gonna wait. Just gonna wait. So one of two things will happen. Either they drop to my area of interest for an entry. Let me look to the left too. So this is all of this. Is top of that, yeah. It's not bad. It's technically do you mind? This little girl, I swear to God, stop it. Swear to God, like I am constantly inundated with kitty time. So in this scenario, I sometimes wonder to myself if I should have been worried about, not worried about, but thinking about this fair value gap that they were using as support to continue up. But again, this feels like chasing price, so I'm just not going to. I'd rather not get tagged into the trade and wait for the next setup that will tag me in versus, forcing anything. Now, here's a situation, and I hear the other kitty coming too. So this is what I tend to do sometimes. Like I tend to, do you mind? Let me pull this up so you can't see all this weird kneading she's doing. Let's see. I sometimes like look to the left and see what fair value gaps they were using for support. And this one is very, very obvious. Like we tap, tap, tap. Nice one for a continuation down. So I'm wondering if we can, see a similar behavior here, or if we bust past here, then, potential fall long from here. Um, but the question is, how far will they be willing to go? Okay, both kitties are here, but I'm gonna stick with the plan and continue testing this. So my preference is for them to come back down and tag me in down here. No, God dang it. These cats, man. I swear to God. Just jumped on my stuff and then my screen went off. I love them to death, but they are beautiful, beautiful agents of chaos. So I did say that I would just use the fair value gaps that formed close to where I wanted my entries and stuff. Did they get this stuck? Oh, okay, good. There we go. It got stuck for a second. So I don't like all of this, so we're not gonna utilize that one. So one thing ICT did mention is that if you're bullish, like focus only on the bullish fair value gaps for that continuation up. And it looks like we're not gonna get tagged in. They decided to use this guy for the continuation up. Yeah, that's gone. And that's okay. I saw what I was looking for through the chop, though I did technically miss the real entry area for this through the chop. So if I'm bullish, we had the shift here, waiting for them to sweep what's happening to the left of the chop is a really important signature. And I didn't notice. So something I need to pay attention to. So they swept it here with this candle. And then the real entry area came into play. And it was here. It was at that order block. That's the entry that would have made the most sense. Like just the top of that order block. Even better because now I'm below this fair value gap for an entry. And I would have been tapped in here when they came back down to it, and then look at what we would be like working with. Something that I'm gonna spend a bunch more time working through today is noticing this. But that's what would have worked. Like, as long as they've taken some higher time frame liquidity, we've shifted above it here, not here, but here, and then wait for them. We chopped around for a bit, wait for them to sweep the chop, no matter how shallowly, they did sweep it, and then they left you fair value gaps, right? That's not a bad place. That's not a bad setup right there. Not bad at all. And then your entry should be here. And look at that. My stop is always 37 ticks. So getting an entry here for a continuation up, beautiful. Do I need that entire run? No. I could have set my entry to like this area right here. That's plenty. I don't even need the long to be taken out. But they have equal highs, so I probably just set it right below it right there. And then move my stop here. Once it clears this, move my stop here. I'm locked in. Life is good. So that would have been nice. Actually, nah, I'm not gonna cheat. But that's the setup right there from this area here. As long as we've been wicking, staying above it, beautiful. Stop below it, perfect. Hmm. All right. That's like the one setup for that PM that would have been good. So let's nip over to another day. So let's go to the 30th of September, the AM, and let's do 9:35 so we can do our prep for that day. So for folks who are just watching, this is the Thinkorswim. Um, this is a Thinkorswim on-demand feature, which lets you replay price. Well, it plays price the way it played during the day. That you can pick your day up here, and then price moves at the speeds that, so you can actually like feel how you would feel and trade how you would trade on that particular day that you'd be trading. So that's why I really like it. So I'm just like setting my stuff here. And this is the next day. Let me do this. So we have a low here. I'm just going to note the next round of 15-minute lows. If they want to drop. There's another one right there. Okay. And then the real low is all the way down here. So we'll see what they want to do. Do a little cleanup here. So this is your next day opportunity. And it looks like they actually rolled back and took the equal highs from that trade I was mentioning on Monday PM. Not bad at all. Okay, so it's 9:38 on September 30th on the chart. I did not trade that day, so I do not know what happened. I was in meetings galore, which, no joke, is very, very annoying, especially if there's any kind of a decent setup forming. My setup requires that liquidity be taken on a 15-minute liquidity be taken, and then I need some sort of shift in structure. So in this scenario, they're forming. They've taken 50-minute low here that they were forming. We could also take a look and see if, they've taken the London lows, Asia lows, stuff like that. That would be like super duper helpful. And, I don't really delineate. It's a low. So let's see. Yeah. Yeah. With that, they took out the London lows right there. Perfect. So it's a 50-minute low and a London low. So life is like a box of chocolates. All right. So we're just going to wait and see if we get one more sweep down below and then a shift back up for an entry. And I don't believe there's, well, let me check the news for September 30th right quick. If there was anything juicy, then I would wait until after 10 o'clock. That is a rule. I follow it very, very diligently. Okay, so there was jolts at 10 o'clock. So in the interest of not wasting a shit ton of time, I'm going to push this to 10 o'clock so I don't have to wait all morning because I wouldn't be taking anything prior to this anyway. So we're going to wait till 10 o'clock. Okay, so what did we get at 10 o'clock? Ooh, that's some serious wicking right there. All right, so we wicked it through one more time. I did mention that I like that I like when they take it one more time. Like taking it one more time is beautiful. It gives me a lot more confidence in any reversals that occur. Okay. And so now for my setup, we've taken this liquidity. We came close to this one. We don't have to take it. I need a shift in structure. Actually, okay, let me try and focus in a little bit since that's what I'm here for, not necessarily just talking. So we had an internal shift right here. I would like to see a retracement back down and then a secondary shift, though I don't really like internal shifts as much. I prefer this one to be taken more strongly. Yes, beautiful. Coming up on that. And then we had some buy side up here. So I'm gonna spec this high right here as the buy side. We have some closer buy side here that I will also note because, I'm an equal opportunity trader. All right, so we swept this. Nice. So we have this order block here. We've swept this liquidity. We've got a little one here, a little guy here. Eh. So now I need to see if they want to retrace back down or if they're just going to run away and leave me in the dust. So we've had one shift. I'd love to see a secondary one, and then that will get me to where I want to go. Because we've gotten pretty much a downtrend, a small downtrend forming here, but it's not pretty. Wicks. And I'm still generally bullish. So that I need the secondary shift to give me that confirmation that we're continuing up. Or if they're going to accumulate, then a secondary sweep to clear out the accumulation, and then fair value gap and order block and things for them to continue on up. Now, if I was more aggressive with this shift, my order should be here. But I'm not being aggressive. I am waiting for confirmation. If we blow through this, then, there's more sell side down here and a continuation trade would make sense. I am not good at that. That is not my A plus setup, so I don't generally take those. Means that I don't get a lot of trades during the week. And that is helping me build patience, but it is no joke, really, really, it can be a little frustrating too. Secondary entry opportunity though, so like if they come here and they do this and then they push up and leave a fair value gap in here with a down close candle, I will take that one as well. But not this. It looks like we're going to continue down. This is why we need to have confirmations for all of your trades. Like you need to have rules for why you get in the trade, where your TP is supposed to be, what are you aiming for, that sort of thing. And then just trust yourself. And that's why I'm here sitting here for a few hours because I need to learn to trust my setup. So I'm sitting here clicking the button and just, going with the flow because I can't do anything else. I don't have any other way to get to where I need to go in this trading journey. So just gotta take the time and the effort and do what we gotta do. I'm gonna clear this first level here. And there is a fair value gap in here. Don't walk on my you can this, I swear to goodness, this cat, man. Maddie, come here. Come here, little cutie. Who's a cutie patootie? This is Maddie. She likes to walk on my laptops and do crazy things. Don't you, little girl? She was about to walk on my laptop. She already opened up a whole other window. Bye. I think at one point she literally closed my stream. Now, I'm thinking to myself now, because if we get, do we get something juicy in here? Let me see. I don't know if I'm considering this a good setup. We did have a shift, but I need a secondary shift. The kind of setup that I'm willing to take for a continuation is not necessarily this one. We've we've kind of trickled downward, and I would have preferred them to tap down close candle and then up close trickles like what they're doing now. I would have preferred that here. So maybe I'm being a bit too rigid again. Trying to figure out all the different potential entry models in this scenario is quite difficult. No joke. Because the market's never going to give me that perfect setup. And if I keep waiting for the perfect setup, I'm never going to get any setup. So I need to recognize when they give me portions of my setup, you know, in its messy, messy state. Because trading this year is messy business. Messy, messy business. Now, I do like, so I'm trying to see, is this one of these scenarios? So instead of like the perfect setup here with the fair value gap, like we inched back up and we dug into this order block a lot more than I would like. But if this is a correct setup for me, then technically I should do that. I don't necessarily, let me see. There's a little break right here. So for me, I would put my entry there. If this is incorrect, then that's fine. I'm testing things out. And this isn't as clean as the secondary model that I was looking for. Now, if they choose to give me like the secondary shift, which is my preference in this case, because there's a single shift and then return back to an entry area that makes sense, and then run up with a fair value gap and order block. Oh, they just tapped the wick of that thing. Dang it. So sometimes I wonder if I should use the wick, but I've gotten burned so many times with the wicks that I don't use them. I don't use them. So in this scenario, I would look for something like that. Because I'm not trading like a bunch and it's not as clean as I'd like, and we're wicking a bunch. So let's see. Like the clean version of this setup would not have this many handles. But I'm wondering, like, are we going to maybe, hold on, let's take that off. Are we going to maybe sweep this one more time before it runs up? But we haven't really been accumulating. We've already had the sweep. Hold on, let me put it back. I'm overthinking. Part of my problem is I do tend to overthink. So let's test that out. It's not perfection, but it is presenting somewhat like the setup that the secondary entry model. The 15-minute is, oh, it's 10:26. I actually don't like getting into trades just before the hour and the 30-minute. So I'm hoping, let's see, do we get stopped out? This is not a juicy 15-minute candle. I don't like that the entry is presenting itself just a bit before 10:30. Like those things stress me out. And I should have left it at the body. Look at that. Because my stop did encompass that little tiny break. But I don't know. I'm still waiting to see if I'm wrong or not. So this is what I do with my entries. Like I move them around. Like it should have stayed at the body. Look at that wicking into the body. But I like the little break. I like the little break down here. Oh, sorry. I like the little break down here for the entry. But it's looking like I should have left it at the body. So maybe the rule should be body of the order block, top of the order block, As long as my stop encompasses this little break, it should be fine because they can wick through it, right? Yeah, potentially. So it's 10:30. And let's get a, and yeah, that's what I should have done. That's the entry that would have made the most sense for this. I should have left it here. Look at that. Look at that. Should have left the entry right there because my stop would have handled them dipping into that. And then look at that. Oh my God, beautiful. What a setup. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I continue to do that in the future. So this occurred when? So I'm gonna cheat a little bit just because I want to see what that would feel like to trade it. So I'm gonna push this back to like 1024, just a little bit, just a little mini cheat. Okay, because I want the feeling of being tagged into the trade at the entry that I wanted it. I should have set it at, and then I want to see about managing it properly. Like that's I want to see feel that. Assuming it lets me get in there because it's tapped in and it's not come on. We're testing stuff. To the left. All right, so let's I guess we can I guess just pretend Thinkorswim doesn't want to like tack it in. Part of the other thing I'm trying to do too is not get super focused on the P&L because they open, when it opens up, you see the P&L down here, and that drives me nuts because I'm like, oh, I need to lock in that 500 or whatever. But this does set me in a decent place to recognize that I need to um, be less particular about these cats, I swear, be less particular about moving my entries because my stop is always 0.5% of my account. So 37 ticks, that's it. That's all I'm willing to risk. Risk management is a big deal for me. So, all right, well, seeing that we're not going to get tagged into this, let's let's push it forward and see if the TP would have hit. So technically, there's that. If we're gonna push, we're gonna come up to here. Yeah. There's more up here, but I don't need the whole run. I just need a decent chunk of it. Yep. So that would have been a nice. Oh, let's see. Yeah, a nice little move, right? Nice little 50-minute high for them to take over. And then I have this running at 3 times the speed, so we don't have to um wait as long, but still. So that would have been the equal highs up here. Actually, let's aim for the equal highs. Let's see. So let's say we did get tagged in here. Once we take this high out, then I would move my stop to about right here. And then just as we create more structure moving towards the target, then you know, go from there. Now this is just as representative to say this is where my stop would have been, this is where my entry is, and this is where my TP is, just below, just a smidge below the equal highs. And then we'll move to the PM and continue on. Now this is not weird if they want to like tap into this propulsion block right here and then continue on up. Trying to trade structure and only structure. So either Price does what I hope it's gonna do, or it, stops me out, and that's that. So we've shifted again. So we have the sweep here, we have a return to the order block and the fair value gap, and then we have the return back down with the return back down with a order block, and it's not the prettiest because of all this wicking. That's the problem. That's why it's not pretty. So there's too much wicking. Yeah. So once I would have been tagged in, yeah, I would have moved my stop here and called it a day. And then looks like I would have been stopped out for sure. So looks like that's not going to work. So that would have been the end of that setup. Now I wonder if this is going to be, what is it, 1039, like a 1040 thing where this is looking more bearish now. And just like, hold on, make sure that's properly set. Just like the other afternoon where they swept the internal liquidity that they were generating, because this is exactly what they're doing here. They're sweeping it. Do we get like a continuation up, or are we gonna run up? I'm still, because of the wicking, they can pretty much do whatever they want, honestly. But they came down and swept this. Are they gonna sweep that? Maybe it'll let me, if we do this and we leave, no, if we bust up here and leave a fair value gap here, no, they're not going to. Is that going to be an immediate rebalance almost? Not quite. But I do like that we did have a secondary shift, but not the one I wanted. If we're going to do like a full secondary shift, like pull, sweep, shift, still waiting on that secondary shift. If this one gives it to us, then we might get an entry. Though, like the other one, we might actually be able to use like the little sweep here and a shift if it's clean. If it's clean for a continuation that way. Might. But look at that 15-minute candle. Ugh, it's ugly. That's ugly. So this part I was like not super excited about, and that's why I was looking for the lower thing. And they actually came and gave me that lower entry here. But is that enough of an internal sweep though? Like I wouldn't mind if they like wicked through that. But you notice like once they actually sweep the chop to the left, things on the right start to look a lot cleaner. Because look how much cleaner this is versus all of this. Look how much cleaner. Goodness. Goodness grief. All right, so now looks like we're gonna get the movement we're looking for in the first place. I would have still, if they tagged me in here, not moved my stop because I don't trust them. With this push, they should have just taken this out and then run. A little pullback, run, a little pullback, run, a little sweepy sweep, run. Yeah. So now we're waiting for this to get swept. It's 10:47. Okay, so perfect time for price to move. So we have two candles. We swept this low. We've made this and we've run up. We've not taken anything out. I mean, my general desire is still for an entry here, but now I can consider, higher fair value gaps. They did tap this one. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. So, yeah. Cleaner, but no opportunity to get in. I think they did something similar the day before too. Like they gave you the entry on this side. If you stuck with it, then they came back down and ran for the hills. They did. So the moral of the story is my entry here, leave. Okay, I would have been stopped out. No, sorry. My original desire, and where'd it go? There was a break between these two candles. It's like it just disappeared. Wow. Did they just? What? There was a break between these candles. Crazy. You saw me put it there. What? That's okay. That's some real adjustments. Hmm. But the other option could have been to take the entry at the top of the fair value gap and use that as the silver bullet, as ICT would say, right? Well, he does say it. There's no need for that. Ignore me. And then there she blows. So that would have been the only potential setup, and it's not clean. We just got a secondary shift here. I mean, if I'm being completely honest with you, I would need a pullback. But I don't know that the TP or the liquidity above would be enough for me to be like, hell yeah, let's go. But we spent all this time, so I would be potentially looking at that. Let's see. I might get stopped out. There's a fair value gap down here, but we left it open and we ran up and we left this. So we're going to see if this is the correct entry. Let's also drop a fib on it real quick. They could also just respect the hell out of this fair value gap and then just run because they're almost to their goal, right? So anything after this, after catching an entry here, is just chasing price. The probability of getting in, see, this is your next potential, and then voila. Yeah. And for this whole range, I would have had to take it here below the 50% of this. If they run back down and then they haven't taken this yet, then that's the entry right there. My stop's just below that. That's not bad at all. But I highly doubt we'll get that. I might go a little bit lower because I want my stop to be below the order block. Because they took this internal liquidity. They don't have to run up to this gap, but they're so close. But I've also seen scenarios where they've been so close and just been like, nah, we're not going to take it. But because they've gone so close, like I would feel comfortable looking for something like that. But it's 10:58, so probability of getting that entry is really low. So let's cancel that and let's push this to 11:05 and see if they got it and then move to the PM and continue this testing. There it is. Yeah. Not likely to come back down after they've run up like that. So there we go. All right, let's move to the PM. So I wouldn't have caught that. So let's move to the PM. So we'll go to 1:45 is when I start looking for something. All right. So, oh, hello. So we took that. Lovely jubbly. Okay. So for the PM, in the morning we were running up for the PM. Let's see. Are we going for the lows? I would love some low runnage. Ugh. It's an ugly, ugly kind of day in it. Did anybody trade this on Tuesday, on the 29th? Did you guys get any good setups? All right, let's see. What have we done? Okay, I'm going to delete that for now. Even though we're hanging out in it, did we take out the lunchtime lows? Yeah. They took out the lunchtime lows and the lunchtime highs up here. So that would be like the buy side I would be looking for. We've swept a bunch of liquidity. Let's see. Let's see. Is this going to be clean or junky as hell? Because I think maybe this is the low of the day. Who knows? All right, so what do we have? We have a bunch of rundown. We've taken out all these wicks except for this one. That's fine. And then we had a shift. I don't like it when they form it like this. I'll take this one. We had a shift here, and then they dropped into this, and then, yeah, not pretty. It's not the nicest look at my setup. and they're just running. So this is like what do they call that? I can't remember, like some weird curve thing. My brain is thinking of an elliptical curve, which is kind of stupid because why would we need that? All right. So that's a let's run away from Shakira vibe. Though I'm seeing this 1 minute Fair gap over here that they were using for support. So curious. I don't know if I'm gonna use it for any kind of entry because we're trying to work on the sweep of liquidity, shift in structure, and entry scenario here. But if I was a vetting woman of some kind, which I am not, and we didn't have all of this below here, we used it here, 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 here. This would have been a nice little short. Um, would have made me mildly uncomfortable because of the fair value gap here. And it's 154. So how we normally use these is if we close strongly above it, then an entry at like the order block. Like I like this. I just don't like this. But I do like them reclaiming it like that. Oh, my wrist is itchy. I do like them poking through it like that. And I'm looking for a retracement and a secondary shift up for an entry. So again, not my favorite, not the prettiest, but that is what I'm looking for. I think, is it still cold? And this is actually a really crap day to be trading. Look at this price action. Like, there's nothing clean. Like, you really need to, you really need to have a very clear structure. And this is just, we've just been in a range. Look at, ooh, that's ugly. That's ugly. I'm okay with them not taking this wick out, but they could potentially. So I love this. Like, if I was being more aggressive, we've had a shift. I now need them to push up here and then an entry inside of this space would be good. But let's wait until the 2 o'clock time frame kicks in. Mm. Because there's no like clear entry space for me here. Because this is a strange sort of like concave type of shift. It is one, but it's not pretty. Also, don't like this giant wick on that 15-minute candle, but there's a rule now. We have an area they've been using for bullish support, and now they use it for bearish. If we reclaim it, then we could use it for a long up to take this high out. Otherwise, we'll say sayonara to this shitty ass afternoon and test out a different day because I'm not gonna spend my entire time here um taking subpar setups. Just trying to find the best methods to get into my A plus setups and not watch it run away from me on a regular basis. Yeah. And honestly, like this type of price action, all of this, come on, man. It's ugly. It's so ugly. Like I'm pretty sure I didn't take anything this week. Like it's just too ugly. They took the equal highs out here. They took these lows out in the AM, so we're enjoying the PM. It's 2:04, and something that I've been noticing the last few weeks is for my setup, if nothing good shows up between 2 and 3, then about 3:40 to to 4 is when it actually moves. And I'm not a huge fan of trading those hours. So so we have a rule that we're going to work with here, and that is if we bust above this guy without any type of fair value gap. There's also the secondary option of we came into an area of interest for an entry, sat in this order block. We leave a fair value gap here, and this is the prior to the secondary shift. We did that here. Is this a good entry? Because I've seen it work a few times. Or should I wait for them to break this area for an entry? Because last week I saw this sort of setup work out at least twice. Shift in structure, sweep of liquidity, we shifted structure, and then we didn't quite get a secondary shift, but we came back to an area of interest for an entry and then left it like this with a fair value gap. I'm trying to remember that it doesn't need to be perfect or pretty or clean, you know, and get comfortable with that, because if I'm gonna be trading long term, I need to recognize that that's something I need to be okay with. All right. So we're coming into the area. So let's push this up. So we're coming into the area where a potential entry would be nice. We're pushing nicely above it. We've left little baby things in here. I'm going to do something like that. I'm going to say the midpoint of it because I don't trust. There's an order block here, but fair value gap, fair value gap. I'd like to at least be at the midpoint of this if we're going to get it. It's kind of a scary entry for me, if I'm being honest with you, because technically I should put it here, but it does not look like they're going to give us an entry at the top of this thing. Because I would prefer an entry here with, if they'd, pushed up in here without. Where's the midpoint? Let's get into that little gappy area there. Yeah, I don't think they're going to come back and give us an entry. In which case, we'll move on to the next day. But this is a nice shift, the secondary shift, but again, not pretty. This is like a day of just not pretty. Like it's just giant piles of unadulterated crap in here. One thing I will check though is where we are in this. Oh, we still going up. Yeah, we ain't coming back down. Yeah, it's just gonna run. The idea is really sound. It's just sometimes it's just gonna run away from you, and that's that. If they don't take this high out and they come back down, you know, and show some. Let me make sure I've got this spec'd out properly. Let's see. If they come back down to say like the 50% of this leg, hmm, which is at the body of this thing, yeah. So it still has potential. If they're coming back down, they haven't taken the high out yet. Potential for the entry is still there. So I'm going to set my entry at the 70% of this range in in the hopes that they're not planning on. Oh, come on. In the hopes that they're not planning on running through. There's a big order block in here. So I would want my entry like at it like so. But like I said, with that big run up, probability of them dropping all the way back down here is low, low, low. So this would have been a day that I wouldn't have gotten anything. I am not in the business of running after trades, so chasing after these trades is just not the way I'm gonna take that off because I don't want it um, acting as any sort of impetus for my thought process for this setup. And I'm wondering if I missed the correct one. Yeah, I did. Okay. Let's take a look here. So I only look at ones that, price has used for, potential support and resistance, I guess is the correct terms. Yeah. So I wouldn't on this day I would not have gotten into any. I wouldn't have gotten anything. And 222. Let's nip down to past 235 and then we can move on to another day. And if anybody wants to test out a specific day, you can put it in the chat and we can go to that day. No muss, no fuss. Yeah, so they ran up and they're just gonna slow grind it up, I think. Nothing for me to do. So I would have just closed this day without getting any of that sorted out. Because there's no clear, like this rounding of price action. And then the only other entry area was here, which I wouldn't have gotten tagged in on. So I would have missed it. And no significant enough pullbacks. I mean, except for this tap here. But I'm not chasing price. I refuse. I refuse. All right, let's nip to a different day now. Let's go to October 1st. And let's do we can do 938. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, let's clean this up. So that's the Wednesday. They cleared out the sell side that I had in mind, and then, oops, zoomed in too far. Auto zoom. Move over. Okay, so they cleared out the sell side they had here. And what did we do first thing? Oh, looks like we just ran for the hills, eh? Are you okay? No, that's the question. Okay, so that helps. So this 930 would have liked that a lot. We swept a whole bunch of stuff. Beautiful. And then let me make sure I have my buy side sorted out. So we've got one here. Let's move that over. And then that one up there. Nice. I love that they've already taken sell side liquidity. Let me get sorted here. And even in all this chop, I'm still bullish. So, what do we have? We've got liquidity swept here. Where's London lows? London lows are way down here. So let's move that down here for London. All right. Okay. And these are the closest pieces of liquidity that we have, along with this high up here. I'm going to move this up here and then just to spec that out. And then I'm going to duplicate this guy to denote this high. All right. So we got 945 and let's see if there's any news this day. That's October 1st. Let's go back to the calendar. Some non-farm stuff and ISM manufacturing at 10. Okay, so 10 o'clock news. So I would not bother with anything until 10 o'clock. So let's push this up to 10 so we don't take up all the time. And then see what's left. What do we get? Let's go. Let's go this way. All right, so with the news, let's zoomy. Okay. Let's see. Oopsie, come on, let's get a little cleaner. All right. So the news didn't do anything, so yay. And we haven't gone anywhere. And we've wicked into this order block. So there's nothing clean here for me for a shift in structure. It's because I don't like this rounded BS, but they've reclaimed all of this with that, swept it out. Still bullish. But for an A+ setup, I don't know, man. I'm not super chuffed. Especially with all these wicks. My poor stop can't handle it. It's too small. It's 37 ticks. But it has to be that way. Let me clean up a little bit there. All right. That's looking somewhat decent. You know, what's this? What do you say? Like 5 minutes after you could take a setup. I watched a video by Kimmel, and he kind of outlined his post 9:30 trading setup, which isn't too bad. Mom. If I'm gonna be bullish, I need to focus on the bullish fair value gaps that form, and which one is price using as support. Okay, so we did have a little shift. None of this would make me want to take a trade, though. Unfortunately. I mean, I'm mildly tempted by this. I guess it's a propulsion block and this little break right here. I'm mildly tempted, but I gotta be like super fair to myself. Like, would I actually take that? Probably not. But I'm trying to be less rigid and, try to see the A+ setup where I can. Now, this is just more of a matter of curiosity because I'm still bullish. There's a tiny break in here. We've pushed above. We've taken the internal high there. And I'm looking for them to just do this. I'm looking for them. I'm going to be even cheaper. I'm going for them to tap that fair value gap again one more time. Just to give myself a little bit more room. But it doesn't look like they'll head back down. Because these wicks, you see how small my stop is? There's no way I could survive these wicks. No way. And on the 15-minute, we're going sideways. But I'm still bullish based off of, we've been consistently moving up. There's plenty of juice, or at least plenty of liquidity they can run up to. So why not be bullish? But these types of entries usually mean I don't get a setup, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So let's not pretend I would have taken that in any universe. I would not have. 10, 12. Okay, let's push this a few minutes. Let's push this a few minutes. Let's step forward 10 minutes and see where, because this feels like it's just going to run up from there and not give us anything. So, yep. Like that was like the only potential thing. And it's just I'm bullish. I gotta remember sweep. There's no entry for me in here. All right, let's switch to the PM then. Because once I see that and it's what I was looking for, but I didn't get like any sort of setup to get in, then I just try and keep myself disciplined and wait till the PM setup forms. Let's switch to the PM now. And again, if there's a day you guys wanted to test out, drop it in the chat. Definitely something I am most interested in. All right, so oh, it didn't change. Hold up. Sorry. 13:45. Go. So I'm like, that looks like the same place as the AM. What's she doing? Okay, yeah. So we just kept running. Yeah, there wouldn't have been anything for me to take. Although there was this little mini chop here. I look at it and tiniest of fair value gaps. A little sweepy sweep. Still nothing. Nah, I'm good. Let's cut it up. All right, so what do we have in the PM here? Let me just get over there. Have we taken, okay, so we've taken this buy side, we've taken this one as well. There's more above it. All right, so what do we have? Did we have a shift in structure that I was not aware of earlier? A little one in the AM there, but nothing in the PM. Still bullish. Let's get been running up with some alacrity. For me to take any kind of short in this kind of scenario would require me to get a much bigger pullback. Which we don't have right now. I have a small internal sweep here, but I don't trust the smaller sweeps. I like them to manufacture their lows and take them out and take them out and then give me something. In these like internal sweeps, I don't necessarily need a super big shift in structure. I really just need like a fair value gap to form after they've done the sweeping and then, then something to show continuation, Kind of like they sort of gave us here, right? They swept this and then now they're pushing up. They left a little break here, but that's not enough. I need like a proper fair value gap and maybe a little break in there and then an entry. They tapped into this right here and then kind of took off a bit. So my preference would be if they came down and at least took these lows out right here. That would be my preference. And, the one thing I've noticed, like the longer you kind of sit and wait for a trade is after a while you start to feel tired and you're not able to see the setups as easily and think more critically. So when that starts to happen, the thing I do is just stop, like just close out, come back later because you don't want to be trading clouded at all, like ever. It's not going to be helpful for you. So when I start to see wicking after a little bit of a shift, I told you my preference is for them to drop down more, but let's see. Do we have maybe a fair value gap we should be paying attention to that's formed recently that's helping price stay where it needs to go? But we also have to consider the fact that on this particular day, they've been running up like a ton. So the PM low is right here, looks like. Let's see. Yeah, right here. That's the lunchtime low. And the lunchtime high is up here. So it'd be nice if my preference is if they would take the lunchtime blowout first before running out, but almost never get that. I won't say never, but it's hard to get that sometimes. So it's almost 2 o'clock, so just wait and see. Again, not a great start to the PM for me. I need some sort of liquidity to be taken. And they've been running, and now they're just sort of chopping sideways. You can see it on the 15-minute here. So I have this sped up to 3 times 3x. So look at that. So should I have felt comfortable taking the long here since they tapped into that one? I don't know. It's still early in the PM session. Did I learn anything this morning? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've got a couple of trying to broaden my mindset around my secondary breakup structure for my A plus setup and realize that it doesn't have to be like perfectly set. Like the market's gonna give me what I want, but they're gonna do it in not so clean, not so juicy ways. So we've been pushing up like a lot. Like it wouldn't be weird for them to want to roll back down. But I mean, they just took the lunchtime highs out. Also, I've been working through my secondary entry, especially in the chop. So we're on the third day now, October in the PM. The AM had the AM had like a potential entry, but they never came back to give me something, so and that's okay. Not getting the trade you want is okay. Now, where are they going to the left here? Let's push this to the hour time frame so we can see a little bit more. Okay, yeah. Is that all-time highs at that point? I don't think so. But 25K though, coming in hot. It's 207. Because I don't know, sometimes I guess I should have been comfortable with this sweep right here and then this bigger shift. That's not bad, you know? And then they left a fair value gap here. The entry could have been at the order block right there, which is what I usually like, but I didn't see it. Look at that. Yeah, that would have been nice. So we're analyzing because I'm like, okay, we did have a smaller shift here. I would need to see a nice sweep up. But I don't know why. Half the time I feel like that when they do this big candle, like they shouldn't come back down. But they do. They do come back down as we see them do it here, and then they ran up. So in this scenario, like we had a sweep of liquidity, we had a shift. They left these two order blocks right here, set my entry at the body of the first one, and then just see if they come back and get me. If they don't get me, that's fine. There's there's some liquidity sitting up here to be taken, so it would have been pretty sweet. Lock in, wait for some structure to be built here. I probably, with an entry like that, I'd lock in my stop here and then hope it just continues running up. But this type of setup really just sort of irks me. So I'm just realizing that this would have been a nice, if not, if messy type of setup. There is also the potential if I don't want to wait for all of this, because I'm not gonna lie to you, like literally, if I had gotten an entry at the top of this thing, right? And then we ran up with alacrity and then ran back down, I would have been stopped out for less because I would have wanted to, if my entry's here, I would have wanted to like put my stop, or maybe not, put my stop just above my entry in the hopes that they'll run. And then now they're forming structure. If this continues up, then my stop would be here. So either I get my TP or I get stopped out in profit, either way. But this is the kind of setup that I would have been very, very uh, hard pressed to take because it's just not clean. And I need to remember that it doesn't have to be clean. It just it has to meet the criteria, which it did. The, look at that. I'm just running up. The session bias is bullish, waiting for a pullback that sweeps some liquidity. They did that here. They did shift up here. And then if I'd set my order at this guy, you know, I would be pushing it just a little bit up, get a couple more ticks at that up here, like so. And then I would be sitting pretty. My stop is right here, the entry right here. But it's the ability to actually be able to recognize that, be okay with this big sweep up. Because sometimes when I see them sweep this, I think to myself, oh, well, they might want to turn around now. Stick with the bias. The bias has been very, very bullish, like super duper bullish. So why not stick with it? Wait for the shift. It's not pretty because this one I don't need a secondary shift because we're we're still moving in one direction. So I just need a shift and then for them to leave me something that I can work with. In this case, they left this fair value gap. But once they tapped it here, I wasn't really thinking they wanted to come back down into it again. But NASDAQ, man, she likes to do that. She likes to do that and mess with you on a regular basis. So this would have been like the only potential decent trade. The other question becomes now, oh, you did? Oh man. Oh, oh, I just see your question, Ebinar. I hope I'm saying that right. Let me know if I'm not. Yes, I trade futures. I trade the NASDAQ on Thinkorswim with a live account, and this is their on-demand feature that I'm using for testing purposes. Great. Like trading view is awesome, but this is amazing because the candles are printing. They're printing the way, you know, they're printing because they have the data for the day. So I absolutely have no idea, what's on that. I'm saying it right? Okay, great. I have no idea what's on that scary right side of this of the candles. You don't know what's over here, so you just got to go in and trust it. So I'm just sitting here analyzing what I could have done better on this scenario because I did mention that this is a sweep. Are we respecting this guy? So then, the entry could have been here, but this is the scarier entry for me after that big push up. Well, Bob, it's okay. It's good practice. It's good practice to redo your levels and make sure they're perfect. It's not the best, but it is what it is. I do not trade margin at all. I understand it's a great way to let folks put in less cash and then trade in higher size, but it also puts you in that position of if you're not profitable and you're trading margin, losing more money than you ever put in and now you're in debt to whoever that broker is. That's unacceptable to me. So no, I trade a cash account. And you can trade a cash account. You can trade micros on a cash account. My only issue with Thinkorswim though is that they charge, yeah, you can trade a cash account with futures with I think any broker. Um Thinkorswim charges the exact same amount round trip for a mini as they do for a micro. So I trade one mini, and because I refuse to, and that's like $7.30 for one mini round trip for per trade. If I were to say do five micros at that price point, that's $36.50 for fees and commissions for one trade for five micros. So 70 something for a full mini. Because my original plan was, when I started trading, was to trade micros. I would trade 10 micros and then I would be taking partials. So I would take five off at a specific level and let, the rest run either to TP or, take more off at different levels. Did not know you could. Oh, of course you can. Of course you can. Um, you just have to put in the appropriate amount to do it. Um, you can absolutely trade a cash account for that, for sure. You do not have to do margin. Margin scares the shit out of me. Scares the shit out of me. There's no way. All right, well, let's push this. It's 2:32, and this was literally the only potential trade for this PM. So let's move on to the 2nd of October. Again, if you guys have any particular day that you were trading and it was a shit show and you want us to see if we could have found something, let's do it. Because I am here to get myself back to where I need to be, which is, well, get myself to where I want to be, which is profitable. Okay. Oh, look at that. Look at that. You got that. You would have gotten that full trade from that setup yesterday. But whatever. From the day before, I think. Right? Or am I looking at it wrong? Yep. Yeah, you would have gotten the full TP on that setup. All right. Going back to let's do a little cleanup. Put that up here since that's the closest high I can see. And let's push this to the right. So this is the Thursday, October 7th at, oh my God, Shakira, fail. Sorry, guys. Let's put 9:36. Sorry about that. We can even pick a different day because I don't know if that helps anything. I'm also really terrible at like continuation trades. Like, not the worst, but I'm not great at them. Like, I can't, let's take this off. I can't quite fathom how to use them appropriately, um, especially on days where they don't give you a lot of pullbacks, you know? Okay, so those are the main cell size that I have. And did we do, so for this day, so the other thing I need to remember too is for my setup, if they've already taken the liquidity pre-market, right, before the 9:30 open, then it's okay for me to put that into my setup and recognize that the liquidity's already been taken. I just need to look for, where did the break of structure? Hey, kitty, kitty. What's up, little girl? You okay? Who's my kitty? Mwah, mwah, mwah. So Maddie has arrived. Tell her how cute she is. She knows she's cute. Yes, she is. She just got her first groom, so she's not as hairy as she was. But she's a little lap girly. She's a little lap girly. Anyway, back to the business at hand. Cuteness, cuteness notwithstanding. Mm, okay, this is a nice day though. This is like a nice drop. Let's duplicate this. So where are our potential sell sides right here? You got one right here in the 15 minutes. Oh, this is the 1 hour. You got a cat? Cats are the best. I have two kittens. This one's Maddie, and then there's Sasha. And then Maddie, they're like 6 months, 7 months old now, I think. Never had kittens before. It's kind of awesome. It's kind of awesome to have the kitties. Okay, good. Well, this looked like this could just drop, just keep dropping. So I have a hard time with these types of drops. I have a hard time with these types of drops. I feel like I should be like Dr. Evil in this moment, just telling the markets, I want $1 million, with my cat in my lap. Being a total nerd. I'm a huge nerd. Don't judge me. I mean, you can judge me, but I don't care. You can just keep going. I don't care. Anyway, so I generally don't know what to do on days like these, so I just kind of sit there and watch it drop. Sometimes I wonder if, like, you know, do we just wait for to see if they're gonna like respect a fair value gap like this guy and then just continue dropping? Or are they gonna manufacture their own liquidity a little bit above and then take it and then drop, you know? Or do we come all the way up here? I mean, yeah, PC is better anyway, so you don't have to type on your phone. That's boring. Yeah, the runaway train. Man, I hate those. So, Ebenar, how long have you been trading though? Do you trade prop firms or what? Because prop firms are the bomb, for it's a great way for folks to get in here and, if they have the discipline and the drive to actually like get trading, get in the game, because if I remember correctly, like before prop firms, the amount of money you needed to come into trading was a huge barrier to like all of us retail folks, Oh, look at that. Look at that reaction. So this is a situation where I wonder, can I do something like this safely? I mean, I don't know if I can with my crazy stuff, but I also hate taking trades after they've been dropping for so long. Got in more than 10. Oh, wow, that's incredible. 10 years? So you're profitable. You still there, yard? Huh? You still a yard trading, making that money, big mansion in Clarendon. Noise. That's what's up. Yeah, I'm still a relative baby coming in here. Even if it's been a couple years. No, I've only been trading live funds for a year and what month are we? Year and 10 months. So still not profitable, but that's all right. I am clearly seeing the in Miami. Nice. Good weather. Better weather than DC. I'm in Maryland. It's cold as it's October and I'm salty. I'm salty as hell. Yeah, so I have a hard time taking these when it's been dropping so much lower. Like my preference would be if they were to like bust through here, tap a fair value gap and then drop again. They did take liquidity here, so they don't need to take this one. This is also a 15-minute liquidity. Nice. I'm glad. I'm glad. It's good to be close to family. It's good to be close to family. Oh, but look, I would have gotten tagged in and it would have worked out. But these trades just don't suit me, you know? I don't trying to go short after they've dropped a ton and they've taken liquidity from me is a big no-no. If there's still liquidity below and they've made like, like let's say we started dropping here and we had the liquidity here and I was like, cool, 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 you know, try and catch it here after this, which I wouldn't have, obviously, then I would have said, cool, take that. But we already took some liquidity here. I'm not pressed. Also, is there news this day? I don't even know. Let's check. So the Thursday, no news, so it can be as cheap as it wants to, or it can run for the hills for no good reason. Oh, you use Thinkorswim too? Nice. When I see, this is why I don't take these trades. I don't trust them. Liquidity taken. So now I'm thinking to myself, okay, um, we've taken liquidity right here. Nice drop. Corrections are normal, but look, we bullish. So we ran down, took some liquidity. I'm just waiting for a shift in structure. Ooh, and I get a little entry. So let's see, because I need this to plop up. Take that. And so after this little drop, this little dust up here, I'm also trying to remind myself that they formed an inversion fair value gap. If they use it as support to go up, maybe, that's like a nice continuation trade that way. But it's hard for me to take that because we haven't shifted. We haven't we haven't well, we did a nope, still we haven't shifted. So I can't, it's hard for me to take that. I should take it. I should feel comfortable taking, like, say, the midpoint of this or the top since we busted above it, but my stop is so small because my risk management is so particular that I just can't. It makes me unhappy. Wait, I wanted to go to the movies today. This might be the last day that we do for testing. But look though, you know, so we just got that shift in and we respected this inversion for fair value gap they formed, taking the entry here at the order block with this fair value gap they wicked through. Not a bad play. Not a bad play. Mm, so I think there's a movie I wanted to see today. Ooh, Good Fortune with Keanu Reeves as that angel dude. All right, so we've shifted up once. I'm waiting for a secondary shift now for an entry to go back up if we can get it. Let me see. What times do we have for this movie? Ooh, there's a 2 o'clock. It's 12:33, so I have time to do another half an hour with y'all. Half an hour with y'all. So let's see. So we've shifted once above here. I sometimes wonder, that secondary entry after the shift, like this entry here. I'm wondering if that should be the better entry. I don't know. I'm still thinking, and I still have a kitty in the lap. Also, I would be more than happy to take a setup off of this fair value gap if they actually like bust above it. That's quite a drop. I don't even know how many points that busted, though, but So, oh, you know what? Yes, come back down. Give me a little bit of a sweepy sweep in here. Sweep out everybody who went long right here. Sweep it. Either we continue down from here, 10, 12, 3 minutes, or this pops up and leaves a fair value gap in here. Although this is a bit too big of a candle. Sasha, you look like you're bald. I miss her hair. I really do. Sorry, this is Maddie. I said Sasha. Bad Shakira. I see Sasha though. Hey, pretty girl. Are you going off or what? What are you doing? Are you going up? Okay, she's watching her. Okay, got it. Be nice if this pushes up now. You swept this little bit of internal liquidity right here for everybody who went long right here and had their stops under here. If we push up here, then we might have a potential for the long that I would like. Let's see. We're still bullish. I don't need this whole run. I would just like maybe pop up into here or something like that. Both kitties are hanging out. I am, you know what? Yes, I was trying to do every Saturday, but I've been finding that I'm doing more errands and things on Saturdays. So yeah, I'll be doing this on Sundays mainly now. So I'm here at 10 a.m. Sundays, backslash forward testing my setup like this every time because I'm planned to be in that 10% that actually make it in trading and not playing games and gambling and all that stuff. So but I will go to the movies at 2 o'clock. Okay, good, perfect. So I'm starting to see the structure a lot better. And remember I said they swept this nicely right here. Let's push up. Let's push up. Push up. Okay, we're leaving a little fair value gap in here. I like it. I like it because we haven't done the shift yet. We have not. But I do like that what we're forming in here, if we can take this out, the entry would be right here. We tapped into this little guy. Keep it going. Run up. What time is it? 10:19. Love that for me. Love that for me. So I'm trying not to preemptively pop this in here, but it's what I want to do. So I'm going to wait for this candle to close. That's why you got to wait for candles to close. Oh my God. What the heck? So that candle did not close the way we wanted it to. That closed like we going down. What's that song? It's going down. I'm yelling timber. Oh no. And that 15-minute candle is like, come on. So the setup is still there. It just has not given me what I needed for it. And I don't know about y'all, but it's everything that I've been seeing in the charts lately, it's been so messy. The setups are there, but it's so messy. You gotta wait for these little signatures. They chop around and it's like you're playing with some forks, just going, yeah, or you're drumming, like a badass. All right, let's see. 10:23. Let's go. We swept a little bit here, tap back in. All right. All right, we closed above. What did we leave? This little guy, I'm gonna do this. Let's see, where is my stop? See if they want to stay inside of this big one, this little break right here. Come in, Sasha. Yeah, the volatility is out of control. But actually, with that shift, my entry is supposed to be down here, if I'm actually being completely honest with you. But we have two order blocks here. We've got a fair value gap they left in here. There's a tiny one in here. I would like for them to tap into this little break right here. They might not come back all the way back down here, but that's okay. The model requires that I take the order block that makes the most sense. And a lot of times this happens and I don't get what I need. But my stop is so very particular that I can't just do anything. Now I like what they're doing here. Hey Sasha, what you doing? What you doing, pretty girl? So I should have paid attention because they finally broke a body above here and just taken it at the top here and just been like, whatever, right? Just whatevs. But NASDAQ, man, she's shown me that trying to chase my entry is just stupid and short-sighted, and I need to put it where I need to put it. And that's that. And don't worry about the rest. Some days I'll get clean set up. Other days, you know, we'll get this. Okay, I got two kitties to the left of me. So in my mind here, most of this order block is okay inside of my thingy here. Ooh, what's this? It's ugly. It's muggly. But it is where I should have set my order, it looks like. That's a big little gappy there. Don't y'all want to just tap into this or something? Quit playing, man. You fighting too hard. You fighting too hard. So I'm gonna wait and see if the entry here is the best play or the entry at the body. Because these wicks, man, these wicks be playing games with the system. So, but it's what I'm looking for. So the way they've played around in this guy, I'm just gonna get rid of it so it's no longer like in my main focus. And I'm gonna drop my entry to the body, which is where I should put it. Even though I love that little wiki right there. That little volume imbalance. What are you girls playing with? Big wick. So I'm gonna do that. Yep, there we go. Come on, let's see. Give me the, don't do that. Tap the body. Did she tap the body? Look at that. Seriously? You can't make this shit up. You cannot make this shit up. So that's where I would have put my entry, right at that body right there. And let's zoom in as she runs away. Zoom in, zooming in, zooming in. Hmm. Look at that. Look at that. If she comes back down and taps me one more time, that's great. If she comes back, I personally don't think she'll come back to the body. She'll keep running now. Now, in real life, would I have been tagged in with that tiny thing? Probably not. Probably not. But with that tap, I'm not gonna lie to you, I really want to move an entry here, but I cannot. Cannot. But the logic around the setup is sound, even if it's messy. Look at it. Beautiful. Even if it's messy. It's beautiful. Oops. Girls, why? Right? You wait for them to take liquidity, you wait for them to shift, you wait for them to give you a secondary shift and then leave you someplace to get in on it. Give you something juicy. There's got to be an order line. There's got to be a fair value gap. There's got to be a break in the price structure. And then I just put my entry at the body. Oh my God, they turned the TV on, y'all. Babies, Maddie, come here. Come here. Come here, you little cutie patoot toot. All right, off your pop. But look at that. Even though it's messy, you know, they would have tapped me right here. I'm like, y'all need to take this high out and quit playing. Quit playing. This is mean. This is just mean. But like I said, I don't expect them to come back down here. You got that one opportunity to get in and go. That's why my stop is the way it is. It's like I'm looking for that very specific sniper type of entry, and I cannot afford to lose to give up more. I could still technically get tagged in if they come back down. They still haven't taken this high out. Could just be coming back to this order block to run back up. But I don't know. But if I somehow did get triggered when this tapped it here, my stop would be right here. I don't care. Because why are you coming back? But NASDAQ, man, she is mean. So I just leave my entry there because she's been known to like run back and forth to your entries multiple times before she goes to where she needs to go. Or, I'm wrong. Oh, look, it tagged me in. Or I'm wrong, and it's still super bearish, and whatever. But there I am. I finally got tagged in on the body. They missed me here, but came back. They didn't take the high out. So now let's see if we can continue going up. Nothing works 100% of the time, but let's see. That looks like I'm about to get my ass handed to me. Ooh, that's that 10:46 time frame, and that candle is ugly. Yep. So that's a stop out for that one. That's okay. That's all right. I followed my model and I took it. But now I know that the continuation down is what they want to work with. They gave us a shift. It's not pretty though. They hung out here. I was hoping this candle, like this entry is the one. Like this one is not what I was looking for. This one on the run up, take the high. They didn't take the high. They ran down. This is probably what they're running to now. I don't know. Or maybe this is the bigger sweep. Who the hell knows? With NQ. But I think I'm trying to do my best and work with the chop and figure out how to get in here. We had a shift. We had a second shift. This entry wasn't terrible. Should have just left it at this little thing. Would have gotten something, and then I would have been stopped out in like $30 or something. Because with an entry here, my stop would be right under here. So I would have been stopped out there. Because this is time for it to go. Leave. Stop being annoying. Hmm. Well, at this point, 1050, literally a short from here would make the most sense. Like something like that. Let's put it at the body of that thing. Like a short from here, take this out. My stop technically needs to be above here, but it is what it is. And, if I want that, I probably need to push that up a little bit to give, at least cover the candle that's formed, the fair value gap, like something like that. And then I would have been tagged there, and then, it would be good. Because now it's shown it wants to continue dropping. We've had a nice big shift this way. We haven't had a secondary shift. So this is the point where I try to step away now because then I would just do stupid shit and get into a short that's like subpar. You know what I'm saying? Even though it has high probability now because we've done this, I would have been tagged in here and then look at the nice drop because that would be like the pivot I would need to make in this scenario. So I'm gonna do, since it didn't tag me, and I'm gonna do that. At the body there. So the preferred entries at the bottom of the order block, and then just Hope my stop is decent enough. It's above the 50% of this fair value gap, so that's good. I prefer it to be more, but it is what it is. And then, there's some stuff down here for it to take out, and that would have worked nicely too. So if I get stopped out, so from this setup, just as a quick recap, right? So from this setup, we had swept a bunch of liquidity, we shifted structure here, we wait, and then we shifted structure again, left this order block. I like when it's below the two candles in between. Gave us a little break in here. An entry here would be good, or at the body, whichever, or give it a little room, whatever. At the body, we would have been tagged run, or stop would have been run out here. Now, with this push down, I don't need a secondary shift because we've already been dropping, as we can see right here. So then this fair value gap that they've been using as support to go up very, very lamely can now be used as a reclaimed fair value gap as to do a continuation down. This is a prime setup because they left us an order block, two of them actually in this space with a fair value gap. So for me, an entry at the body of the order block, which would cover most of them tapping into the fair value gap and then looking for something to run down to this sell side liquidity down here, would have been nice. The app, you know, so like if it should have tagged me in for the test setup, but it didn't, but that's fine. So this is just so that we know that this is where we would have been tagged in on this candle here for that follow-up setup. So that's assuming that's my first trade for the day. And also I'm allowed to take a second trade. So that would give me a decent little return right there if as a secondary setup. Plus, it makes sense for me because once they shifted strongly and then broke this guy and then left me order blocks in here, beautiful. Beautiful. And now let's just watch to see if the TP would have been hit. Probably get more out of it if it's 11 o'clock, 11:10. We'll get that for sure. So we'd be trailing. So let's just like talk through the trailing of my stop would be here. Actually, my stop would be right here. And then once it hit this, no joke, I wanted to just bust through it like it owes somebody money. Of course, Nasdaq likes to pause just before hitting the liquidity for whatever reason because she is a diva. She's a straight up diva, being so annoying. Also, did I draw that right? Hold up. Did it take it and I missed it? Okay, look at that. So it made equal those two. So in this scenario, I would be in the short, my stop would be here, and either I get stopped out for a tiny bit or I get my TP, whichever comes first. And then I'm going to close this one out. This 3 hours is good, I think. And then this, so my stop's here. Let me take that off. I don't want it to kick me in. So I would have been stopped out right there for, again, a tiny bit. So this would have been like a break even kind of day if given this insane volatility. Yeah. But I have a hard time like being super swift. Like if I just got stopped out of something, it's hard for me to just jump right back in. But in this scenario, I should have, you know. It did drop for a decent amount. And I don't know why we didn't just take the sell side liquidity. But anyway, I think that's good for today. As for testing, it's time to finish enjoying the weekend. All the kitties are napping, and I want to go catch this movie at 2 o'clock. So y'all enjoy your day. Thanks for hanging out with me. Let me know in comments under this video if what you normally trade. If it's the orb, ICT, levels, VWAP, whatever it is that you're trading. You know what I'm saying? Just do your thing. Don't be scared. Um, And I'll be back on the charts doing this next week, Sunday again, and I'll be trading Monday. And maybe not Monday, maybe Monday afternoon, because I don't usually trade Mondays unless it's like a super clear setup. I don't touch Mondays because it's kind of like setting the tone, for the day. I don't like to just kind of jump in blind. Okay, sure. Yeah. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with me. See you Sunday, Benar. It's nice to meet you. And enjoy that good Miami weather. You see me? All right. Later's my youth. Or UTES. Did I say that right? Ignore me. I say random crazy shit all the time. Baba, I'll talk to you later. I'm gonna catch a movie. And I'm gonna mind my own business for the rest of the day and relax. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna stop being silly. Enjoy yourselves, yo. Enjoy yourselves. Bless up for real, my youth. Bless up for real. All right, laters. Enjoy the Sunday. Go enjoy the Sunday. Go do something fun for yourself. Don't worry about no trading. All right? Getting your mind right is also important. Stepping away from the charts, also important. So go do that. All right, laters. Shakira out.